Yo, what's good, fellas? We gotta talk real quick. We gotta talk. Just like a 5 minute, not even 5 minutes, like 2 minutes, bro. I need 2 minutes, all right? I need to get this straight. So it seems like people that are not a fan of Boruto, I get it if you're not a fan of Boruto, right? But to be actively under people's comment section or people that post Boruto content under the comment section bashing Boruto because I say something good about it. If you don't like it, bro, you gotta stop watching the content, bro. You have to stop. I understand, like, bro, I got the Daigo Knight fans in the comment section. The Daigo Knight fans. The people who don't like a series, but because it's hot and you can get monetary gain from it, they gonna talk about it anyway. And then they go to other people's videos and fault other people for praising it when it's like, bro, you know, if you was a fan of a series, you're gonna give it high praise, right? If you don't like something individually, but somebody else does, that doesn't mean the person who's praising it is wrong. Like, what? All right, that's all I gotta say, bro. Look, if you don't like Boruto, bro, I don't gotta tell you to don't watch the video. But anyway, how y'all doing today, bro? Y'all doing good? I'm doing good too, man. So throughout these like 3 chapters, right? We've been seeing base Boruto just completely destroy everybody in his path. Like, we see him destroy the Claw Grimes. We see him destroy Code himself. Like, who's next? Who wants to smoke next, bro? Like, he got him lined up, ready. Kawaki, Team 10, everybody can come at him at once. It doesn't really matter at this point. Not even glazing, it's facts. But we haven't seen Momoshiki, we haven't seen Sasuke, we haven't seen one of the like the more important people of the series besides Boruto. So it's like, what's going on with his relationship with Momoshiki? Is it still like the same? I've seen people, they kind of want to like Boruto and Momoshiki to have the relationship that Naruto and Kurama had. It's kind of impossible at this point. It's impossible. Maybe it's gonna be like a dictatorship, like Boruto just beats him into submission and like, okay, you give me power whenever I ask for it, type stuff. Or it can be like a partnership. They could see benefit from both working with each other, and then boom, they gonna help each other out. I don't see it being like a friendship. Nah, it's not. I don't see no Otsutsuki just turning a leaf and just fighting for the good side. It's not gonna happen. But how powerful will Boruto be with his karma mark now if he just let Momoshiki take over and just go crazy, bro? And how far has his karma matured? I know he's 100% Otsutsuki right now, but how much power can he draw from that karma? Like, did he master the karma or not? Like, it's gonna happen eventually. It's just a matter of when. So without further ado, make sure y'all go check out Kiddomaki's channel. I'm gonna leave the link to that in the description as always. If you're gonna leave a like on this video, go show him some love, bro. Go, you see what I'm saying? I got share the wealth. But without further ado, let's get into the video.
There are multiple so-called plot holes in Naruto and Boruto that aren't really plot holes per se. It's more so a lack of understanding when it comes to the person making that assertion.
But they're not really plot holes if you really pay attention to the series.
A certain concept in the best possible way. In this case, I think the latter applies, in the sense that the karma seal's mechanism has far too many logical inconsistencies. This goes back to the basic function of the karma seal itself, which would be to Otsutsukify the vessel's body. However, the issue is that while the karma seal does change the vessel's DNA to that of an Otsutsuki, it doesn't change their physical appearance in any way. Now that should not be possible since your DNA controls what you look like. To prove that this is indeed the case, I did my research on the subject, which brought me to the Penn State Center of Nanoscale Science, which says that DNA contains all of the information.
Unrelated? I love it when people or creators just take the time out their day to just go do extra research. Bro did not have to do this at all. He could have winged it, talk about some BS, but no, he took the time out to research DNA and how it determines your appearance. Y'all gotta leave a like just for that, bro, because that's some dedicated stuff. I don't even know if I would do that, bro. I would try to, but it's like, bro, that's mad work, yo. And Kishimoto doesn't even have to make it so it's like this. He could put his own twist into it and it'd be totally different from this.
Needed to build your body. This determines your eye color, hair color, your height, and even the size of your nose. The DNA in your cells is responsible for—
I ain't gonna lie, I thought he was gonna say the size of something else, but we have to stay PG-13. He called me right there, like, you know, my heart skipped a beat right there. I thought I was gonna have to cut that out, but thank God he said eyes. Thank God he said eyes, bro.
Attributes. So suffice to say that if your genetic data, which is your DNA, is overwritten by the DNA of another species, you should take on the physical attributes of that species.
Okay.
By the way, the writers of Boruto agree with this notion to some extent, but for some reason they later contradicted themselves. You see, as I've explained a few times on this channel, the Karma Seal is stated to be an highly compressed Otsutsuki battle file. Once that file is implanted into a prospective vessel, the compressed data slowly extracts over time, and once all of that data is fully extracted, the Otsutsuki will fully resurrect within that body and the person will cease to exist.
But the thing that's so amazing about this is that Boruto was actually killed before Momoshiki could take over. So Momoshiki was forced to use his power to resurrect Boruto. Now he can't even resurrect through him. So now this is like a once in a lifetime thing. How is this gonna go now? Since Boruto is 100%, but Momoshiki cannot resurrect through him, how is this gonna go? Like, we never seen nothing like this. Did Boruto unlock another form that we haven't seen throughout the time skip? You know, you have to wait. You have to wait. I think they're hiding something. You know, Kishimoto always cooks up stuff like this. They always do this, bro. They always do this. They did this with KCM. They did it with Baryon mode. I'm saying they're always gonna like surprise us with a crazy form that came out of nowhere. So if this is the case, there's nobody that's more perfect for this new form than Boruto. All the criteria fits up. To be able to harness 100% of Momoshiki's power without being controlled by him, with Boruto's base strength, him having the JOUGAN, and harnessing 100% of Momoshiki's strength, he's definitely stronger than Momoshiki. 100% going into godhood. Going into godhood, bro. Is that bad?
Now the key thing to note here is that it says that Boruto's body will be overwritten by Momoshiki's data. Not only that, it specifies that this only happens when all of the data is fully extracted. So what this means is that Boruto's data should remain unchanged until the moment the Karma Seal is fully extracted and Momoshiki chooses to resurrect. However, this was later contradicted multiple times in the story. First by Shiki stating that Boruto's Otsutsukification has progressed further than he expected and that it was already 80% complete. This shouldn't be the case since it was stated prior that the Karma Seal only extracts the data slowly over time and it doesn't Otsutsukify the body, which means
his shit was going
overwrite
fast
Boruto's DNA until the Karma Seal's data is fully extracted. So since Karma has only extracted 80% of Momoshiki's data, why has the Otsutsukification progress already begun? Now if you think Ishiki misspoke, that simply isn't the case because as I said before, this was contradicted multiple times. The second time this happened was when Momoshiki took possession of Boruto's body after the battle with Ishiki. He first said that Kawaki's extraction seems to have progressed quite far. Then later,
the thing about it, fellas, and you can't forget this. You can't forget this. I'm not even trying to cape for Kishimoto or if Ikimoto had poor writing here and there. But you guys gotta realize, bro, Boruto was born special. I don't want this to sound like Spider-Man, but he's an anomaly, for sure. Because he was born, him and his sister was born already with Otsutsuki genes, coming from their mother and father. Of course, everybody has some type of Otsutsuki genes in them, but no, like, Naruto and Hinata's was way stronger than anyone else's. Naruto's being the strongest. Bro already had the JOUGAN, even before all of this happened. So if you ask me, am I surprised if his extraction rate was going faster than anybody else's? I'm not, bro. I'm not. It's like he already had them genes inside of him. So of course he's gonna progress further than people who have them like Kawaki. You know, he was just fresh meat right out the pen. So just take that into account when you're thinking about something like this.
later said that it was just like with Boruto. The progress was about 80% complete. Kawaki's body is almost wholly Otsutsuki at this point. So for one, Momoshiki speaks of the extraction and Otsutsukification progress as if they are the same thing, by concluding that Kawaki's body is almost wholly Otsutsuki, which means to be 100% because 80% of the data was extracted. Now this directly contradicts how Amado explained the process earlier on, which is that the compressed data slowly extracts over time, and when all of that data is fully extracted, Boruto's body will then be overwritten by Momoshiki's data and Boruto himself will cease to exist. So the entire thing doesn't make sense, since Boruto should remain 100% human until the karma is fully extracted, which then leads to him being overwritten. By the way, this isn't specific to Boruto since this was the same for Kawaki,
like I said,
and even Jigen.
It could just be a special case of Boruto.
Otsutsuki, even though Shiki never chose to resurrect, thus not overwriting Jigen's DNA. This means that the Otsutsuki data should just exist within the body until the Otsutsuki chooses to resurrect, and that should then trigger the process of overwriting the vessel's DNA. Now I'm sure some of you guys are probably saying that Amado doesn't know more about the Karma Seal than an actual Otsutsuki, so Amado was just wrong. And while that is probably true, the funny thing is that Amado's explanation of how karma works makes more sense, while the Otsutsuki's explanation introduces a plot hole or logical inconsistency. You see, as I said before, DNA consists of all information needed to build your body. This determines things such as your eye color, hair color, your height, and even the size of your nose. The DNA in your cells is responsible for these physical attributes. So if we go by the Otsutsuki's explanation of how karma works, this means that Boruto, who is now 100% pure Otsutsuki, should now only possess Otsutsuki genetics. This confirms that he is no longer human.
Nah, that 18% that got written into his karma, that's all you need. The writers could do whatever they want, and you can't do anything about it. So they could say that 18% that Momoshiki put into Boruto's karma made him human. It kept him human. It kept him from transforming into an Otsutsuki. That's all they need. They don't need nothing else. That's it. And then Kawaki's only 80%, and he still looks the same. So they could say you have to be 100%, and the Otsutsuki that wants to take over your body has to decide, okay, it's time to come out for you to change your appearance. That's what happened to Jigen. Like I said, the writers could do whatever they want, bro. Like what he said and what Jigen did is totally different things. Like it's totally different. So somebody's wrong here, either Amado or Jigen. And I'm gonna say Amado's wrong because Jigen, you know what I'm saying? He's the real thing.
The DNA that made him look the way he did before has now been overwritten with that of another species. Now there is one argument that some people will use, which is that when Momoshiki revived Boruto, he transformed his remaining 18% of data in karma into Boruto's DNA. So that's why Boruto's physical appearance didn't change.
That's it.
However, what's also stated
bro,
is
don't
that
look too deep into
or
it.
not, the data started off as Otsutsuki data originally, so there's no change in that. In fact, Boruto is now 100% pure Otsutsuki. So all this is saying is that Boruto's genetic structure was indeed completely rewritten to that of another species, but it's somehow still his data at the same time, at least 18% of it.
See, I love stuff like this because it's a plot hole now, but if they take it and they say, okay, the reason why Boruto didn't transform into an Otsutsuki is because of this, or they're like, whatever Kishimoto or Ikimoto want to play with, they can. It gives them room to put in something else, which could trigger like a major power up or something. So it all comes together at the end. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the writer just forget about it, you know? But most of the time it comes through at the end. I trust Kishimoto, bro. I trust him, bro. I didn't trust Ikimoto as much, bro, but Kishimoto in on this, I trust him fully. He made a masterpiece, bro. You can't go wrong with that.
So Boruto should still resemble an Otsutsuki since he's 100% Otsutsuki. He's no longer human. Now let's say I did grant this argument.
Damn, I got something in my eye. Hold on. Okay, what he said. Yes, Boruto is 100%. Technically. Is it how Momoshiki wanted to go? No. Was he mad that it didn't go to his plan? Yes, he was mad because now he can't resurrect. Everything has to go into Boruto. Pause. 100% of his data has to go into him. That's the new rule. I'm sorry, but it is. Ishiki put 100% into Jigen, but Jigen was he wasn't a good vessel. We all know this. Ishiki was 80% into Kawaki. Pause. He couldn't transform. He got killed off before he was able to get 100%. Can't look too deep into it. Boruto's 100%, but he's not. Boruto's really 82%, but Momoshiki says he's 100% because he put that last 18% into his karma. So all of his data is onto Boruto right now. But Boruto's really 82%. If we're being technical, he's 82%. There's not really a plot hole right now. Like, there's not any plot holes, bro. I see it as perfectly fine. The only one who was able to get 100% into him was Ishiki with Jigen, and therefore he came out of him. He was able to transform whenever he wanted to. With Momoshiki and Ishiki, that wasn't the case with Kawaki and Boruto. That's it.
Right, let's say Momoshiki, by changing his data into Boruto's data, allowed him to retain his genetic trait that controls his appearance, even though he's still 100% Otsutsuki, not a human in any way. What would be the explanation for Jigen? Jigen is confirmed to be 100% Otsutsuki Otsutsuki. In fact,
Yeah, he's
Jigen
100%.
is 100% Ishiki Otsutsuki, which is why Ishiki was able to resurrect using Jigen's body. So it isn't the case that Ishiki transformed a percentage of his data into Jigen's data, which allowed Jigen to keep his human characteristics. If that had happened, he wouldn't have been able to resurrect in Jigen, similar to the situation with Momoshiki. So Jigen's very existence directly contradicts that logic. Now, to be honest, we didn't really need anything else.
I mean, the physical appearance didn't change, but his attitude and his demeanor resembled Ishiki. He was Ishiki. He was him. The real Jigen was a humble monk, okay? He didn't act like this. When Ishiki made him 100% Otsutsuki, that's when his personality started to change. Am I gonna call this stupid just because I believe an Otsutsuki could choose whether or not that the vessel can keep his appearance or not? No, I'm not gonna call that stupid because that's perfectly fine. If they want to make it like that, that's perfectly fine. Maybe Ishiki chose Jigen to look like that until the time was right, and that's perfectly fine. That's not a plot hole at all.
To prove this point, but I decided to enlist our trusty friend ChatGPT, which confirmed that if we assume that it's currently possible to completely overwrite an individual's DNA, it is highly likely that their appearance would significantly change. This assumption is based on the fundamental role that DNA...
They're looking too deep into it, bro. Stop doing that, man. At the end of the day, the writers could do whatever they want. If your DNA was 100% overwritten, of course you would look different. But we're working with fictional aliens. Bro, even if your data was 100% overwritten, they could choose if they want to. You know what? You're going to keep your appearance. So, you know, we got to stay low key with it. We got to stay low key. I don't want people to know that you're my vessel yet. So you're going to keep your appearance until I want to come out. That could be a rule. The thing that manga writers do, they take information like this, right? And they would add their own twist to it, their own rules. It's kind of like a Death Note, right? You have your own rules, you gotta abide by it for it to work for you. Now, of course, they probably took some information like this, but twisted it up. That's what everybody does, bro. It happens in every manga, bro. It happens in every manga, every anime, whatever. And yes, some characters can be wrong. Some characters coming from a secondary source, a tertiary source, you know, it all depends. But you gotta believe the primary source. And the primary source is Ishiki himself. Jigen, Ishiki, whatever. If he says it's true, it's true, motherfucker. Like, goddamn.
It plays in determining an individual's physical characteristics. DNA contains the instructions for the synthesis of proteins, and these proteins influence various aspects of a person's appearance, including their facial features, skin color, hair color and texture, eye color, height, and even the body shape.
That's the thing.
If a person's DNA were
if Ishiki has that one rule where he can come out whenever he wants to, none of this matters. None of it.
These genetic
None of it.
instructions would lead to the production of different proteins and consequently different physical traits. As a result, the individual's appearance would be expected to change in alignment with the newly introduced DNA. Now, it also says that the extent and specifics of these changes would depend on the nature of the replacement DNA. The new DNA would of course define the individual's genetic makeup and in turn their appearance. So the exact changes would vary based on the content of the replacement DNA. What it means by this is that if you were to replace John's DNA with that of John's parent or sibling, the extent to which his appearance changes would be significantly less, in comparison to replacing his DNA with that of a Martian's or an animal, which makes perfect sense.
They don't have nothing for Otsutsuki, so it's perfectly fine.
What was explained by
you know?
Shiki or Momoshiki. In his version, the karma seal doesn't change the vessel's DNA upon extraction. The vessel remains 100% human until the karma is fully extracted, and the Otsutsuki chooses to resurrect, thus overwriting the vessel's DNA. In some sense, it would be similar to viruses that lay dormant within the body before one day deciding to attack the surrounding cells, thus corroding that body. The extracted data within the karma seal should behave in a similar way, which would explain why the vessel's appearance doesn't change until the moment the Otsutsuki resurrects, which by the way is exactly how it plays out in Boruto, which is funny, since Jigen, who was already 100% Otsutsuki, didn't gain Ishiki's appearance until Ishiki chose to resurrect, thus rewriting Jigen's DNA. But then you have...
and even Boruto and Kawaki's appearance changed once they, you know, they channel into that Otsutsuki power that they possess. And mind you, they would probably look like that permanently if they was 100%. Neither one of them is technically 100%. Well, Kawaki's not 100%. Boruto is, but he isn't. He got lucky, and he has some Otsutsuki genes before he was even born. So that could mean a number of things. Boruto has an excuse to not look like one. Kawaki does not, but he's not 100%. So you can't really compare the two, you know? Jigen was. Ishiki had to choose when the time was right.
Of the contradiction, which is that Jigen's human DNA was 100% overwritten by Ishiki's DNA, thus making him 100% Otsutsuki while not having the physical appearance of an Otsutsuki. Now there is a possible way around this inconsistency, which would be that Momoshiki and Ishiki didn't understand the true nature of karma. Amado, who actually did in-depth research into the jutsu, knew exactly how it operated. However, this possible fix is no longer applicable since the story itself confirmed that Momoshiki's explanation was indeed correct by stating that only Otsutsukis are not affected by Ada's.
So we're saying that Amado was right either way, and Momoshiki and Ishiki didn't understand their own karma mark because Amado did more research. I don't care how much you research. There's some stuff that you would just not figure out. But I'm not about to argue who's right or who's wrong over here.
Charm ability and omnipotence. So Boruto and Kawaki not being affected proves that they have been overwritten. Although you could say that the data just existing in their bodies is enough to classify them as Otsutsuki. So I guess this possible loophole still stands to some extent, but let's be real here guys, the writers will never revisit this and this is likely just a plot inconsistency or a possible plot hole, or maybe they're the same thing. Now there's
you gotta have to put two and two together yourself.
Doesn't operate in the same way in the Boruto universe as it does in real life. Like shocker, right? Boruto is a fictional universe. Maybe your appearance is tied to your spiritual energy and not your DNA. So when you cease to exist is when your body actually changes. The funny thing is that there is precedent for this in Naruto, which would be the living corpse reincarnation technique. This allows Orochimaru to transfer his soul to someone else's body, thus making it his own. And as we've seen in the case of White Zetsu, Orochimaru was able to transform into his original body immediately upon entry. Now you could argue against this point by saying that Orochimaru's true form, which is the giant white snake, is also physical material since you can interact with it physically. So rather than the white snake being Orochimaru's soul, it just contains his soul in his true body, which is the white snake, which is a physical substance. You could even argue that Orochimaru just used the White Zetsu's ability to transform into other people in order to attain his original form. Now there is the example of the Edo Tensei Impure World Reincarnation technique. This allows the user to bind the soul of a deceased person to a living vessel. Upon this happening, the living vessel takes the form of the summoned soul regardless of the vessel used. So that is a case of the soul directly dictating the physical appearance of the body, which could be applied in a broad sense to everyone in the Naruto universe.
Okay, I think I'm done with this video, man. Great video, Kiromaki. Make sure y'all go sub to him. Like I said, fellas, I think everything does make sense here. And now that Kishimoto set this up, because a lot of people don't realize that watch Boruto that haven't really dove deep into Naruto itself, it's not that it's a plot hole. It's just that Kishimoto likes to leave stuff how it is and then come back to it later. And then it starts to make sense. Everything will start to make sense at the end. So the fact that this was left alone, you know, and Boruto just having 82% Otsutsuki into him, and then Momoshiki putting the rest of that 18% so he could stay alive, that could come back and actually benefit Boruto in some way. So all it is just setting up for the future. I don't see it as being plot holes. So Boruto, he has some power that nobody else does. We just got to see what it is. And I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I can't call this a plot hole. But anyway, if you guys like the video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. What do you think Boruto's hidden power could be? Is it going to be a new Otsutsuki form? We don't know. We got to see what it is, man. But make sure y'all stay blessed. And until my next video, I'm going to see y'all boys later. Peace.